All right. I think we're rolling. Welcome to another session. Um, did you ever feel like it was hard to focus on your practice, whether it was your physical asana practice or your ethical commitment in everyday life? In general, did you ever feel like it was difficult to focus on who you wanted to be, the person you wanted to be, because of distractions in your life? I grew up in a family that faced a lot of mental illness, and sometimes that played out in depression. Sometimes it played out in addiction, alcohol and drugs, that kind of thing. And I repeatedly found myself in this position of the fixer. And it took me a long time through therapy, yoga practice, other discipline to try and get out of that or even conceive of ways to get out of that. And I find it increasingly difficult when I'm trying to move forward and follow a conception of what I believe will better myself, whether it's through ethical practice, physical practice, or whatever commitment I want to make to myself. I find it very difficult to stay focused on doing that when the people around me seem unwilling to change, or when they seem to not respect what I ask of them in terms of, if I'm communicating what I need to do to care for myself, then I need them to at least listen. They're not always going to respect it. They're not always going to do it. We can't expect that of people, but hopefully they will listen. And so I wanted to read again from Yamas and Niyamas, Deborah Adele's book, this time on tapas or self discipline. In this section, I found inspiring when I was going through the feelings that I just talked about. Tapas literally means heat and can be translated as catharsis, austerities, self discipline, spiritual effort, change, tolerance, or transformation. Tapas has the sense of cooking ourselves in the fire of discipline to transform ourselves into something else. It is our determined effort to become someone of character and strength, much like cooking an egg, changing it into different structures. When we cook it, tapas eventually changes our nature, turning us into a cauldron that can withstand any of life's challenges. Tapas is the day-to-day choice to burn non-supportive habits of the body and mind, choosing to forsake momentary pleasures for future rewards. In India, some spiritual renunciants practice extreme austerities. In the dead of winter, they sit for 3 hours in the cold, dressed only in a loincloth. They rig a container so that it will drip cold water on their heads and run down their almost naked bodies for the entire 3 hours. They do this to practice for 45 days in a row. In the heat of the summer, they build 5 small fires around themselves and one in a container on their head. Then they sit for 3 hours in the blazing heat. They build these fires daily and sit for 3 hours for 45 days. This is done to establish themselves in a firm, unmovable center that is not rocked or disturbed by any extremes the external world may bring. They practice staying still, no matter what thoughts or fears are running through their minds. Our practice doesn't need to be this daunting, however. The example of these spiritual aesthetics might inspire us a little more in depth, to go a little more in depth in our discipline. And much like a controlled burn, we need to pay attention to what is possible, what is safe, and what is timely for us in our current life context. When we have tested the wind, we can light the match, willingly burning our own laziness and our selfish desires, whether we practice tapas by showing up at our mat for a regular posture practice or through constant acts of selfless service. We offer ourselves to the next higher version of us. We willingly stand the heat so that we might produce luscious bounty with our lives. So if you don't already have an intention that you'd like to bring to the practice today, I'd like to invite you to join me in the intention of locating this space between self-discipline for growth and care of ourselves versus selfless acts of the world around us. And with that, let's come back and adjust our mats. Sitting in a comfortable position. I don't have my blanket today, but if you have one and you can get it underneath the hips to boost yourself so that the knees are slightly lower, you might find that to be more comfortable. And maybe the outside of the thighs touch the mat a little bit closer. And if not, that's okay too. We can just take our hands, move the thighs so that the sit bones are as flat as possible, and find whatever leg feels more comfortable. As we find discipline, we also have to find our own unique ways of getting there. And that oftentimes takes the shape of exploration. So go ahead, put your left leg in front, and then uncross the legs, bring the right one in front, and see what feels more comfortable. Maybe push yourself back on the mat a little bit more, and notice if with one leg out in front of the other, you do feel a little bit looser and you feel like maybe your thighs are closer to the mat. And again, you can move those sit bones if needed. For me, I like to have the right leg in front. My tendency is to be a little tight, more so on the right side, and feel a little bit more pressure in the knee. And I think this comes from years of running track and just jogging. So when I have my right leg a little bit more open, i.e., the leg further from the hip joint, it tends to feel a little bit looser and more comfortable. Okay, so let's engage the core. Bring the belly button to the back, try to reach the spine. And speaking of that spine, let's make it nice and straight. So let's breathe in and open the chest as much as possible. Let those back shoulder blades sink down. Chin parallel to the floor, crown of the head straight up to the skies. Go ahead and fluff your hair if you need to. Get it closer to the skies, closer to the yoga gods above. And just relax the arms. You can let them dangle so that your forearms or the underside of your arms are just resting on the knees, or if it helps you get the shoulder blades back, you can even put your hands on the knees and pull forward just a tiny bit so that the shoulder blades reach back towards each other and the chest reaches forward and a little bit up. And let's take a deep breath in. We can even shut the eyes here. Just relax for a moment. And exhale through the mouth. A little bit deeper this time on the inhale. And just let it all go. Be as loud as you need to. Whatever catharsis that you need, just let it all just breathe like lion's breath, fire. Imagine you are a dragon and you are letting all of that fire release from your mouth, letting it all go. And one more time, even bigger, even deeper. And really, anything that's left inside of you, just empty it out so that we are starting fresh today. Did you feel that exhale in the core? If you didn't, try it one more time. Let's go one more time. I love that cleansing feeling of the lion's breath as it just engages the core. And it really does feel sometimes like your belly button is reaching all the way back to your sacrum, all the way back to the base of the spine. Let's bring the arms up with an inhale. Palms together. Exhale. Let's bring the arms down in a cactus or trident, opening up the chest and reaching the shoulder blades back again. Inhale up. Exhale, nice and slow, as if you were pulling the skies down with you, pulling that inspiration for discipline with you. And one more deep breath up. Hold for 5, 4, engaging the arms, the shoulders, the wrists, the hands. holding the precious gift of life right above your head, and even take a look up at it. Three, two, one, and exhale down. So returning the hands to the knees for a second, I just want you to, we're going to go and do that trio one more time. But this time, as you're doing it, pay close attention to your legs. Now, the tendency for me, especially because I'm tighter in the legs, is that when I lift my arms up and I come down, my legs try to come to the center. So here, if you do have a block or a towel, that would be especially good to boost the hips. You might find yourself feeling a little bit more comfortable. And you're also going to be putting less stress on your back by doing that. And each time that you lift the arms and you breathe in and you lower the arms and exhale, try to keep the legs engaged so that they stay in place. If they lower a little bit, that's great, but just try your best to hold them in place so that they don't ride up on you. And then you find yourself hunched forward like this. Okay. Again, we want to get the whole body in discipline and used in patterns of working together. All right. So let's go. Inhale up. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Exhale, cactus down. Inhale up for 3, 2, 1. Exhaling down one more time. And the whole time you do this, try to keep your biceps engaged, your hands engaged, just as if any of you out there play basketball. I remember one of my favorite positions was on defense, always having my hands up. You know, you always had to be aware of a pass that would come through or a shot that you might have to reach for. So you were always engaged. Your arms were always aware. And after you do that, you create this sort of muscle memory of discipline where you're always active and ready. And this is the key as we're looking for the yamas and niyamas in everyday life. We always want to be as aware as possible. And of course, just like our asana practice, that takes time. So give yourself that time to grow. We practice it little ways here. One more time. Inhale up and exhale down, bringing our hands to the mat. And on your next inhale, let's lift the right arm up and over, feeling the stretch as you exhale in the side body right here. You can bend the left elbow just a little bit, but try again not to hunch forward. Try to keep that spine as straight as possible as you reach over, bringing that right arm over the right ear. Feel a nice stretch in your back as well. And see, I was letting my right leg lift. Try to keep those legs rigid as much as possible here. It's not easy. And inhale, both arms up. Exhaling the arms down. Keeping that right arm on the mat. Inhale the left up and over the left ear. Again, keeping that spine as straight as possible and the outer thighs grounded. Inhaling back up. And now this time, when we exhale, let's bring both arms over to the right like this. Left arm behind, right hand on left knee. Again, keeping that spine as straight as possible. And that's the theme today, or one of the themes, is how can we discipline the spine to be as straight as possible in practice so that we are sitting in a posture at our desks, at our schools, wherever we are. We want our spines to be straight so that we preserve our bodies. And also, I've noticed that the more that I try to be conscious of that, the more I walk through society with my head up. So if you're always like this on your phone and you're timid and you're not interested in doing the work, then you walk through life with less confidence. So let's try to build that confidence together and that trust in ourselves. Okay. So with the left hand towards the middle of the back behind you, the right hand on left knee, thighs rooted. Inhale. And when you exhale, just lean a little bit deeper into that stretch, engaging the core as well. And for 5, 1. And inhale the arms up. Exhale to the other side. Same thing. This time, right arm behind, left hand on right knee. Deep breath in. And when you exhale, just lean a little bit deeper into that stretch, looking over that back shoulder. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale up. Let's go. Cactus arms 3 times. Exhale as you pull the skies down. Inhale as you lift them up. It's almost like the 90s when we're raising the roof. I hope some of you out there get that joke. Exhaling the arms down, keeping the entire body engaged. Inhale the arms up. Exhale down. One more time up. Finding our flow a little bit smoother. Exhale back to that left with the right hand on left knee, easing into that stretch. How does that feel? Maybe we're a little bit deeper. Maybe the back feels a little bit looser. Maybe not. Take a minute to check in with your body and just feel what is good, what is a little bit, where do you feel some tension? Where can you modify? If this is not working for you to be turned over that back shoulder, you can just plant that left hand on the mat here and look over the left shoulder this way. That's perfectly fine. You're still going to get a nice stretch on both sides of your neck and your back and in your core as well. That's one of my favorite parts about this stretch is it really does work the majority of the upper body. One more time, up. And exhale. Over to the right, same thing. You can modify just like this, looking over the right shoulder if you like. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling the arms up. Pulling down a little bit faster now. Finding your own rhythm. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. And one more. Exhale down. One more up. And exhale down. Bringing the hands to the knees. Let's do some sitting cat-cow before we move any further. So let's drop the chin to the chest, engaging the core. Again, just like we did previously, bringing that belly button to the back of the sacrum, back of the spine. Bringing the arms up and bringing that back, bringing the shoulders as high as you can get them, lifting them straight towards the skies, pushing them out, almost as if you're trying to rocket them out of the back of your spine. A little bit macabre, a little bit, I know we're past Halloween, but it's a good idea in your mind when you're thinking about how to position your muscles. And you can adapt that to whatever you feel I mean, right? These are all concepts, and we take concepts into our everyday lives. Inhale, and on the exhale, just let it go. Inhale this time, cow, bringing those shoulders down, letting the shoulder blades come as close as they possibly can in the back, bringing that nose up, carving a line straight to the sky. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale down, back to that cat. Keep the spine as straight as possible as you try to rock those shoulder blades out. Yeah, inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Inhale one more time, looking straight up. You can even close the eyes this time while you hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let it all go. Even if you have to let it go through the mouth, just empty it out. And coming back to center, let's take a moment and just stretch the neck, bringing the ear towards the right shoulder. Nothing fancy here, just a general wake up, just a general check in. Where are we feeling different than when we started our morning? And right after you meet me at center, let's come back into meeting at tabletop. Adjust the pants, adjust the shirt, adjust anything that you have to feel comfortable here. Fingers clutching the mat, digging into the spongy part, trying to feel the flattest back that we can imagine. Feet flat, knees underneath hips, slightly bent, just ever so slightly, a micro bend, and shoulders as above the wrists as possible. Try to stack them in a nice straight line, and turning our biceps outwards or triceps this way towards the front of the mat. And when we're there, gazing straight down, keeping a nice straight line in the neck that joins the spine in that disciplined, stacked feeling that we had when we were sitting, but now we're parallel. Our spine and neck is parallel instead of perpendicular to the floor. And just like we did when we were sitting, let's inhale up, cat, and exhale. And to aid you in rocketing those shoulder blades out of your back here, just push through the mat, really engaging those arms. Imagine you were just pushing away every bit of anxiety, every bit of negativity that you're getting from the people who are standing in your way, from the discipline you want to cultivate for your own life. And when I say push them away, I don't mean let go of them. I mean, if they're not serving you, let go of them. But if it's just a troubling situation that you're trying to work on, push them away enough so that you can be there for them in your own way. Be the best you can be so that you can be there for them. Does that make sense? It does in my mind. And let's just take a few minutes here. Find our own pace. When we come into cat, let's tighten that core. And I like to close the eyes here as I find my rhythm. And next time that you bring your nose up, hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and coming back to neutral. Spread the knees as wide as the mat, bringing the feet together, leaning back into child's pose, bringing the arms out, reaching as far forward as you feel comfortable. If you want to modify and bring the knees together and bring the arms behind you, you're welcome to do that. And you can rotate your head back and forth, your forehead on the mat. Give yourself that little massage. If your arms are out and your legs are spread, knees spread to the edges of the mat, and your feet together, bring your palms together on the mat, and then lift them slowly over the head. Maybe you even walk the elbows out a little bit more towards the front of the mat. And you just feel that stretch in the back body, the shoulders, the biceps, the triceps. Just take a few minutes here to rest, find comfortable breath. And on your next exhale, let's meet back in tabletop, tucking the toes under. Rock back and forth a little bit, just to stretch out those feet. Push the toes down into the mat, stretching out the soles of the foot right here, stretching out the big toe. I always find the big toe to be a little tight, which is interesting to me because I feel like we walk so much on the big toe that it would always be ready. But maybe these loving stretches are what it needs for a rest. And lifting the hips as if you had a marionette string here that pulled you straight up. Just lift the hips into our first downward dog of the day. And let's take a rest here and let's just breathe. Check in. Walk it out a little bit. Stretch the Achilles heel, the calves, the hamstrings. Push away from the mat with your hands and just let the head drop. What feels different here? How does it feel today that's different than other days? Where are your feet? Are they the heels touching the mat? If not, how close are they? Do you want the heels to touch the mat? Do you feel it's necessary? One of the things about discipline that I find so fascinating is not only do we all have different concepts of what discipline means, but when I try to discipline my feet to touch the mat, for instance, it doesn't mean that I'm actually going to be able to do it. It's the journey and the practice of trying my selection and my goal of that, my selection of that goal that makes the discipline worthwhile. So whether or not I actually do touch the mat with my heels is relevant. And holding, let's exhale the knees down. Coming back into child's pose. And after a moment's rest there, let's bring that left hand under just like we did before in cat cow when we were in tabletop. Let's bring that left hand slightly a little bit more centered. Before we had it stacked underneath the left shoulder, let's bring it in a little bit more towards the center. And let's touch our right hand to that left shoulder. And then on the inhale, stretch all the way up, trying to keep the back as straight as possible. Try not to let the hips rock too far to the side. So we want to keep them centered. Feet, tops of the feet planted on the mat. And exhale, bring the arm through. And here, extend the left hand as far as you feel comfortable. And look underneath that left bicep if you can. If not, if you want to modify here by just lowering your right ear to the mat, you're more than welcome to do that. And you can extend the arm out this way and look under the bicep. That should feel good as well. And depending on how tight you are, if you want to lean back and you can get your ear flat to the mat, that also might feel good. But no matter what position you're in, let's inhale back up. And let's switch hands now. Bring the right hand down and sliding it slightly over towards the center. Let's bring the left hand to right shoulder, giving it a nice tap. And stretching. Looking back across that left hand. Exhale. Bring it under. Looking underneath that right bicep this time. And if you push on the mat slightly, you'll feel a little bit extra stretch in your right, underneath your right shoulder blade. Give that a try. And let's hold here for 3, 2, 1. Inhale back to center. Now let's take, again, trying to keep our core tabletop as straight as possible. Let's do an inhale and bring the right hand forward, left leg out, keeping those toes pointed straight to the floor. And on the exhale, let's bring it in, knee to elbow. Inhale out, exhale in. Inhale out, exhale in, and rest. Switching it up. Left hand out, right foot straight, flexing that back heel, trying to get the heel to touch the back of the room. Exhale in, inhale out. Try to find that line where your fingertips are creating a line straight through your crown, straight through your spine, back to your heel, and engaging the core. In, exhale in, inhale out, and one more time. Exhale in, and coming back to rest. Now this time, let's raise that left foot just like this. And let's bring that right arm up and back and try to grab the right big toe or right foot. I'm sorry, left foot with your right hand. And And keeping that left arm as straight as possible, looking over your right shoulder, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale it down. And same thing on the opposite side. Let's bring that right knee down. Inhale, left arm up and back. And stretching over that left shoulder. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's exhale down. Let's come onto our backs, bringing the feet out, toes pointed straight at the sky, flexing the legs down. Let's bring the right leg in and hug it to the chest. Letting go, bringing the left leg, knee, bringing that left knee as we ground the right leg down this time, left knee in. Give it such a huge hug. Now, with both heels on the ground, let's see if we can bring them up into a leg lift and then forward to the chest. You can even have your palms rooted into the mat here, your fingertips as well. Or if you need a little bit of extra help, you can put them under your lower back or your glutes. So let's bring them up. Toes extended forward for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And slowly as possible, bring the knees to the chest. Rise up for a hug. Biggest hug that you've given yourself all week. Forehead kisses the knees. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale them down as slowly as you brought them up. And as you do that, as you prepare yourself for Savasana, remember that loving yourself is a discipline, just like your asana practice. Let the feet fall open, palms to the sky in a mudra of receptivity, being ready, being disciplined for whatever life has to throw at you. And slowly close the eyes. And as your senses return to the room, take a deep breath in with me. And let the air fill your lungs. How good does it feel when the chest expands with air? And beautiful pranayama. Also, how different does it feel when our chest and our stomach expands as we fill it with air when we're in corpse pose than when we're seated or standing? Hold, hold that breath and just appreciate it. Be thankful for it. Be thankful for the discipline of breath and what it teaches us. And as you empty it all out, let's roll to one side. And rising to the new day, let's push with strength and promise to ourselves that even if we are not at the level of discipline that we want to be today, we will work on it and we will falter. We will make mistakes. We will not always be the people we want to be, but with time, we can get there. Let's make that promise to ourselves. In the last few minutes, I wanted to share one other journaling activity that's really helped me, especially as we think about these ideas of discipline. I've always loved poetry, and my discipline has been writing and writing and writing after constant rejection. And, I've been relatively successful in other areas, but my true passion from when I was, God, I would say about 8 years old was poetry. And, I've had a few pieces published here or there, but nothing major. And I finally finished a book of haikus that I'm really excited about. And the haiku is really fascinating to me because it's an ancient form of Japanese poetry, 3 lines. First line has 5 syllables, second line has 7 syllables, and the last line has 5 syllables. So you have to be very concise, you have to be very general, but it also has to be a generality that opens up the world. And what I mean by that is, um, actually, let me share a haiku that I really enjoy so that we can get a better picture. That topic, but perhaps the internet is not going to be. Is going to love us today. But that's an excellent lesson in surrender. Of course, you it. And for me, my point in bringing this up is that the haiku, just like yoga, teaches us a form that we can then improvise on and make it individual. So discipline is not only sort of following rules, but it's also cultivating rules in a way that works for your life that you can then teach. And I hope that if there's anything that beyond me, of course, they're helping me so much and giving me space to practice and giving me space to kind of cultivate and create my teaching style. But I hope that there's just 1 or 2 bits of information that maybe you, as the watcher, might take away and sort of pass on in your life. Next time, we will talk more about haikus. I have an excellent idea. And so I'm glad, actually, that this time it didn't work out. But thank you. Let's take a deep breath in. Bring our palms together. Thumbs to the third eye. The discipline in me recognizes the discipline in you and the struggle to continue that discipline. And I thank you for practicing with me today, and I look forward to next time. Exhale and bow the head. Namaste.